Mm. Send it to him. Curious. Oh, mm. I'm Karen. Okay, Karen. I mean, come on.
Hi.
Hi. Totally ignore the email I just sent you.
Uh, oh, no, good. Sorry. I just realized as I was like logging out, my AirPods aren't actually in here. Um, does it make a difference for you with your editor if I wear them or not?
I don't think so. I've never
No.
heard
Okay.
her say one way or the other, but hi,
Okay.
I've
Let
been
me
following
close this.
you on the LinkedIn. You're doing some big things with this monthly giving situation. Also, Mazel
Yes,
on the
girl. I
book.
know I've got another one. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been like a whirlwind adventure. She's here.
Love it. Hold on one second. I need to switch Wi-Fi. Oh my. Hello. Uh-oh, did I lose you? Hello? Hi.
Uh-oh.
Oh no,
We're
I'm back.
back.
Yeah, I had to switch up my Wi-Fi.
Oh, you're good.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, you're a busy beaver. Busy bee.
You know what? It's like, yes, but like they come in seasons, right? Always. So, and then I'm going to San Francisco. Are you going to be at FAA?
No, because I have to be on the West Coast on Oc like mid-October. So I was like, I can't
Ah,
like
too
go,
low.
come back, go. So
Yeah.
alas.
Yeah, that's tough. Is this muted? Yes, it is. Yeah, so I'll be there Saturday, and then I'm in Cincinnati, and then I don't currently have any other plans. I think I'm hoping that really like November and December are going to be like really chill
Mm.
and
You
just
say that, but you know it's Q4, so it's never chill.
I mean, yes and no though. I don't because I don't do any like consulting end of year things usually.
Mm.
So it the only thing that really happens then is I'm pre-selling my mastermind to start in January.
Mm. Yeah,
But because of the summit and the book, like there's already been applications coming in to that. So then I
I
just have
love
to
that.
do like the application calls.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
How much is your mastermind?
so I'm actually about to bump it. I just met with like my business coach in Nashville. Um, so there's like two levels, and technically I had it at 9,400 and 12K, and then now they're going to be just flat 10 and 15. And
Nice.
then
Is
I'm
that the whole
launched.
year?
No, that's just like the 4 month, like done
Oh,
for you, building your monthly giving program out. Um, that's the one where I work with like Lauren Atherton and like a copywriter, and I bring in a bunch of third party people to do that. The one I'm really excited about that was literally happened in the like last 5 minutes of my coaching session was I love this like sense of building community. And I had a really good chunk of people who joined the summit that have 10, 20, 50, 100,000 monthly donors.
nice.
But I've never really done anything for that
Mm-hmm.
global, like size org. And she's like, why don't you do like a very elevated mastermind? Because literally what like I was talking to her about during I pre-recorded one of the panel sessions, and it was like Brady Josephson from Charity Water. It was Dean Gillespie from IJM UK and Thomas De La Fosse from UNICEF Australia. And we had like a couple minutes at the end, and I just like on a whim was like, "Do you guys have questions for each other?" And instantly they're like, "Yeah." Brady was like, "Yo, Dean, how do you use the phone in UK?" Then I
Mm.
was asking them about what do you how is AI like predictive modeling working for you on and like they just they could have had a full hour conversation, the three of them,
Yeah.
talking about their different countries and what they do and their expansions and that's really interesting. And so to build this like elevated mastermind experience for leaders at that level and do this really like beautiful retreat for them where they can come together. So that's like I think I'm going to put that. My business coach said to price it at 20K per person.
Mm.
And make that makes me like nervous. I think I'm going to do it at 15 just to
Mm.
start.
Yeah, I think that's great. It's so interesting. Like I, you know. And maybe it's a bit different because yours is a done for you model, but like I'm selling my 6 month coaching program and it's at 8,500 and people are like balking at that. I'm like, you literally know that we're talking about major gifts, right? Like I
Yeah.
like that's literally one gift.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. 2024 has just been like kind of a cluster for me.
Weird. I mean, that was harder for me. The first mastermind I did was kind of like that. I think we talked about this where mine was charging like 6 grand and it was less tangible,
Hmm.
like deliverables, but it still massively like proved all of their, like it was huge success for all of them. But at the beginning, it took a lot more convincing
Hmm.
to do.
So you feel like when you've added this like done for you element, it's like a quicker yes?
Oh yeah. Like I have people who jump on the call and they're like, you don't need to sell me anything. Like I already know I want it. And I was like, okay, well, can I explain the outline? And they're like, sure, but I have a spot, right? Like, because they also know it's very limited. It's only 4 to 5 orgs at a time. It's a
Got it.
very
Yeah.
small capacity. So this last one, yeah, it was like real fast. And then now I have partners wanting to provide scholarships for it.
Amazing.
So that's like yeah, so that will always continue. But like this new one, I'm really interested to see at this level because it's not like a done for you. Will these leaders invest in something like this? Because
Yeah.
at this level, like the selling point is you are literally in the room with the organization. Let's just say, for instance, at St. Jude and the Charity Water and the UNICEFs of the world are in there. If somebody can solve one massive problem for you, that could save you millions of dollars
Hmm.
or give you an inside scoop to somebody or intro you. Like that's what I want it to be like at that level.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I didn't send questions in advance, but I'm wondering actually, one thing that you said in one of your posts was like, it was my mastermind and my coach that like helped me level up. And I am also working with a coach. And I feel like a thing that continues to drive me a little bit crazy in the nonprofit world is like people aren't investing in their own skills to like up level. And I feel like that could be one of the many things that we talk about. So I was thinking about we
Totally.
could talk about three things. We could talk about um, monthly giving, which I think
Yeah.
is interesting. I think we could talk about your book and the process of writing a book. And the third is like, the power of coaching and the power of investing in yourself to
I
get.
would not have a mastermind if I did not go through one because I had literally no idea what it was. So if we want to start there at like the origin, and
Yeah.
that was a $20,000 investment.
Yeah, dude, I'm also in a $20,000 mastermind and like writing that check it like hurt, but I was like, there's nothing more focusing for the mind than being like, I am spending a shitload of money on this. Like
Yeah.
I better see some return.
What are you in right now?
I'm working with this woman, Maggie Gill. Jill.
Oh yeah.
Do you know
Okay.
Maggie?
Yeah, I know the name. It's one-on-one. Or is it? Oh, no,
No,
it's
no,
not.
it's a group. It's a group.
Okay.
It's like a group mastermind, but it's a small mastermind. So there are like 11 of us.
Yeah.
Brooke's in it too. So we're just like, and she's kind of a genius on like marketing and automation. I'm like, yes, all of that. So she has like a $1 million business that she's built with three people. She's like, it's me, my husband, and my sister.
Yeah.
And she's like clearing 100K a month. I was like, that.
That's my coach too,
Who are you working with?
Julie Solomon.
I don't know Julia Solomon. I'm gonna look at Julia Solomon.
She's not in Maggie's not in our space, is she?
No, 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 no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Julie is like she's the influencer podcast host. Um, it's interesting. It's like the same thing. Messaging and automation is how she's
mm,
yeah.
interesting. Get what you want. Is that her?
Yeah, that's her book.
Interesting. Huh. I've never heard of this woman. Now I'm gonna. Yeah, it's very. How did you find her? Were you listening to her stuff?
I had been listening to her podcast for years. And then I went to, I'm happy to talk about this too. I went to a New Year's Eve party at my friend's house when I was living in LA still. And lo and behold, randomly, I think I brought it up into conversation because it was 2020. So business was like rough. I was all over the place. Long story short, there was a woman there and I was saying these things. She's like, you should join my friend Julie's mastermind. And I was like, Julie who? And she's like, Solomon. And I was like, I'm sorry. You're friends with Julie Solomon. I have been listening to her podcast every single week. That's crazy. And I didn't even know. I guess I don't know how, but I just missed that she had a mastermind, fast forwarding the ads or something, I guess. And I was literally one of the last people to apply. So that was my first thing I ever bought from her was $20,000.
Yeah. I mean, the same with Maggie. Like, I'd never even heard of this woman. I saw like one thing she did. I was like, boom, let's do it. Like,
Yeah. How long have you been in it?
since June, like June, early July.
Okay. So it didn't start that long ago. How are you liking it so far?
I am liking it. It's been helpful just in terms of like automation and thinking about like some of the strategies. Like, so one of the things is I spent like a ton before I worked with Maggie, I spent a ton of money on Facebook ads and like it just wasn't converting. And I was like, this is stupid. Like, I can't.
Facebook
Eh,
ads for what?
It was for traffic, just to like
Oh, okay.
build my list, and like get them on webinars and stuff. But it just, I think it doesn't really convert for high ticket in the same way.
Yeah, well,
Anyway,
I would do more of a lead, probably generation ad.
well, no, so I just stopped doing ads because Maggie said to do this thing called an omnipresent campaign. So you upload your already warm audience and you're spending just $2 a day. So you're
Yeah.
not like spending a huge sum of money and it's just warming up the audience. So like then you pixel like your website or whatever, and then they just like see you everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm trying to convert cold traffic.
Staying top
I'm
of
just
mind.
trying to like
Totally.
warm up my existing traffic.
Yep.
And so I'm spending way less on ads and like at the time people get on a sales call, they've already been like warmed up. They're like, I've been listening to you. I've been seeing your ads, everyone. I'm like, fantastic. Let's do
Yep.
this.
That's a great way also for your podcast. I used to do that with my podcast
Hmm.
episodes, just like anything to put up there. And even if it's like a video, just for video views are the cheapest ads you can possibly run. They're like a penny to two
Hmm.
cents per video view.
Yep.
So yeah, those things are great because the audience size is so small.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm like not like trying to get all of the people in the world. I literally have it's a list of like, 7,000 people who I'm just
Yeah.
like, let me just keep warming you up. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was like one strategy. Some other like quick fixes around like booking to the sales call and using like SMS. I mean, just like little things that are like sort of compound. So right now the constraint I'm working on is really just a traffic issue, which is like I just need more people to book stuff. And
Mm,
then the next constraint will be like improving my conversion score.
yeah. I mean, the best way for me that I've seen it is I've just done around to launch a bunch of webinars.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then people book, they just like go right to my page and book through that or podcast guesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, webinars have been great for me, live launch webinars, but so I've done one about like 3 months in a row, and now I'm just going to try to put it on Evergreen, and then I'm going to do a
Oh,
new
I
live
mean
launch.
guesting on on another person's webinar.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Who have you found that's been really like whose audience is really good for you?
It depends on what I'm promoting. Um, Actually, I just had somebody apply for for the mastermind through Donor Perfect, which I
Mm,
haven't done anything with them in months. Um, Give Butter gives me a lot of good leads. Um, I'd have to go back and look through it. This is one of the things I want Kat on my team to be working on is like, what are the main answers? Sometimes it's my podcast, sometimes. Um, Sometimes Fundraise Up. Yeah. This is literally, I just had a call with her. These are one of the things where we're cleaning up HoneyBook is like our CRM.
hmm.
And I was like, I need to be able to find out a way to filter just that answer on the form so that
Yeah.
we can get like a net response of what's actually working.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good I mean, I honestly haven't been like as strategic as that. So I think like 2025, I'm going to hit the ground with like, who are my partners? Like
Yeah.
fundraising AI obviously is going to be a big one. Donor Perfect. Like I've been talking, so I was talking to Floyd at Give Butter, and then he left, and I was like, Floyd, what the hell? Like, I thought we were gonna do this. Um,
Their team is so really good there, Kristen.
I don't know, Kristen. Like Floyd was my point of contact, and like we were doing a reach out, and then he like on the basis of our conversation, he was like, "You're right. I'm going to start my own thing." Left, and I was like, "Wait, wait,
Yeah.
wait, wait, wait."
Maybe come back.
You were just
Yeah,
telling
they're
me up.
great for webinars.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I'm gonna touch base with them again. So yeah, I think that's the strategy of like other people's platforms.
Getting out to their audiences for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is what we're doing now. So let's do that. Let's get
Beautiful. I'm
let's get
down.
to it. All
We'll
right.
riff.
I'm going to introduce you as Dana Snyder, founder and CEO of Positive Equation, and the recent author of the Monthly Giving Mastermind.
Whoop, whoop. That's right.
Okay.
It's when so that I have context. Do you know when this is going to go out?
Yes, it will probably be in late. Hold, hold, please. Um, like December-ish. I can give you a hard date. Hold on. Hold, please.
Because I just want to
Uh,
know certain
yeah.
things to
Uh, it looks like November, late November.
before or after Giving Tuesday. Oh, that would be before then, because Giving
N-
Tuesday is December
Yeah.
3rd or something
Yeah,
this year.
it's November 25th.
Okay, perfect. So we can say like Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay. Oh, this is
I,
really perfect. All right, this is really good to know. So it's the week of Thanksgiving before Giving Tuesday.
yeah.
Great. Okay. I
All
can
right.
add in some relevant things then.
Excellent. Love that.
Okay.
Brilliant marketing friend. Okay. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right. Hey, podcast listeners, Rio Wong with you once again with Nonprofit Lowdown. Today, I am inviting my friend and guest, Dana Snyder. She is a speaker, author, and host of Missions to Movements podcast. She is the founder and CEO of Positive Equation and just recently released her book, The Monthly Giving Mastermind. Dana, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Ria, it's always a good time when I get to chat with you and catch up.
It is.
We would talk for like 45 minutes before we even hit record.
Oh, I know, totally. I'm like, let's talk about all the things. Okay. Since we last spoke, though, big things have happened. You have published a book.
Yes.
Well, I think you had a baby when we last spoke, but you had a baby.
Yeah, now she's a like full-blown toddler.
Oh my gosh, amazing. I saw
Where's
her.
time go?
So cute. You launched a mastermind and you did a big summit around monthly giving. So, Dana,
Yes.
question, when do you sleep?
I mean, I actually sleep like really well, surprisingly. I think I get this question a lot, and I think being a mom, an entrepreneur, I know better how to prioritize things. And what's actually surprising, I think this is actually a really interesting point that I'm a solopreneur basically. I have a part-time staff member that's with me, like 20 hours a week or so. And then I have two VAs, and that's my team. And everyone's always like, how do you do all these things? And I think I've just found people who have their zones of genius. And I've taken away a lot of things on my plate that are not mine, or that I should not be doing that I was not doing years ago. And so I get this a lot from nonprofits I work with because they're usually in a very similar situation as myself. And maybe you see this with your clients too. And I'm like, we're not all that different in like the
Yeah.
business side of things. It's just how you build people around you to actually make all the things happen.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That is such a good point because actually, like you, I talk to nonprofits all day and it's the same issue. Like we all have the same 24 hours in a day. The
Totally.
question is, how do you make the time that you're spending on the thing the highest leverage you can? And I feel
Right.
like I see a lot of EDs out here spending time doing things that are really not their job and are not a high return on investment because either A, they haven't hired anyone to do it, or B, and this is usually more the case, the people that they have hired are not competent.
Yeah. Yeah. Finding that is the gem, like finding the people. Like once I found Kat on my team, I was like, you're amazing. Like self-sufficient, kind of has that entrepreneurial spirit. But that again is part of when you're hiring, like making sure you're asking those questions and seeing if they're going to work in that way to really support you and how you work.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not a micromanager. That's just not me. And I want people to really take autonomy for the things that they do. So, listeners, if you're feeling the same way, find yourself, do the interview, write the right questions down, use Chat GPT to help you, and then really kind of like build out who is that mini dream team. We were just actually talking about coaches that we've worked with and masterminds we're a part of that they have very small teams and they run seven figure businesses.
I know. I know.
Possible.
Total. Well, and I'm just going to plug one of my favorite hiring books, Who, the A Method for Hiring. It totally changed my hiring game because before
Oh.
that, I was like doing all the things that people told me to do about like behavioral interview questions, which is honestly, it's bullshit because people can tell you whatever they're going to tell you, right? Like, how many
Yeah, don't
times
do
did I
that.
hire someone? Great interview, great references, the whole thing, and then a different person showed up for work, and I was like, "Where's that person that I interviewed? Because it's not this person.
Oh, it's the worst.
It's the worst." And
Always
actually,
then you hire, but then quick fire if it's not going to work. Don't drag it out.
yes. Oh my gosh. This week's podcast, I talked with Brooke, our mutual friend, about
Yes.
some of the biggest mistakes I ever made as an ED was I hired the wrong people and then I held on too long because like I just really
Mm,
wanted to believe that they had it in them, right? I was like,
yeah.
okay, I'm gonna like make a tracker for you and I'm gonna like invest in professional development. I'm gonna send you to, and I'm not saying don't invest in your people, but when it's fundamentally a competency and a will issue, like you're never gonna change that.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed.
Okay, wait. So many things to talk about. I want to talk about monthly giving, but before we do that, I want to talk about coaching because you and I have touched on this briefly, but you and I are both working with business coaches, and it is a significant chunk of money.
Yeah.
It is like
A
it,
scary chunk of money.
it's a five-figure investment,
Yeah.
and I feel like for me, it was the biggest investment I've ever made in my business, in myself. But
Yeah.
it was a very focusing amount of money, right? It's like if I spend this amount of money, I better see some ROI. So talk about how you decided to invest five figures in yourself for a coach.
Yeah. So I think I started my business in 2017. The mastermind was in 2021. So I was already like a few years into my business, doing most of it by myself, figuring it out by myself, Googling the way through starting a business, or asking friends. And I just realized it was also 2021, right? So that was a tumultuous time. And so I was really trying to figure out where I wanted to go in my business. And I was unsure. I was like launching courses and then I was trying to get speaking underway. I also at the time launched like a desk business, which doesn't exist anymore. So that's like a total curveball. I think it was just we were moving to Atlanta. Like there was a lot of life changes happening, and I knew I needed direction. And I also knew I wanted to up level myself. And to do that, I knew I couldn't do it alone. And I wanted to be in a room with other women, other female entrepreneurs that I was aspiring to be.
Mm,
And by being amongst those people, I not only knew I was going to feel inspired, but I was going to get the answers to the questions because we all were dealing with either similar challenges or they had already overcome challenges that maybe I was having, that therefore I could get like a shortcut
hmm.
solution by learning from them. And so it was a year-long program. And to the point, right, that was in 2021. I am still really good friends. Five of us from that group split off, and we have still done like monthly calls together. We've gone to one of the girls' weddings. Like we've tried to get in person to do our own still masterminds. And then I even just met when I was in Nashville for a raise and for a book launch event. She lives in Nashville. So I was like, hey, can I do a VIP day with you? And that half VIP day was $5,000. So I've continued to invest. And then now, because I signed up for her mastermind through listening to her podcast for years, and then obviously built trust and relationship over a year. So when she asked me, or when she told me basically my VIP day rate is $5,000, I was like, yeah, no question, because I know the value that's going to come out of that.
Yep. 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 Yeah. No, for sure. Like for me, I mean, I just started with my coach, but I mean, look, she told me it was $20,000. And like part of me was like, whoa, that's a lot of money. But then the other part of me was like, look, I'm looking at it from an ROI perspective. I could either spend a bunch of my time trying to figure it out, or I spend the money and you just give me, I call it the cheat codes. Like just give me the shortcut for the
Yeah,
thing that I need to be focused on for the highest leverage. And I feel like that mentality is something I really appreciate when I meet other folks, particularly executive directors who understand that sometimes it takes money to make money. Like,
absolutely.
and I think,
Absolutely.
and it's particularly relevant because you and I both have masterminds, right? So I'm like, look, I'm only interested in talking to people who understand that A, it takes money to make money, and B, that money is actually the easier resource. The resource that you can't get
Yeah,
back is time.
absolutely. Oh my gosh. And like it's such a good point. So after I've had now four, I'm about to wrap another one, mastermind rounds,
Hmm.
and we do reunion calls. And so they build on each other, right? After a group ends and they join the reunion calls. So those calls are so beneficial because they continuously are learning and getting ideas from one another. We had a whole call a couple months ago that somebody was having trouble getting their board of directors to give. And so people were literally sharing their playbook and
Mm,
exactly how much like, and there's nothing more valuable than like hearing from your peers from different organizations of different causes about how they approach things. Like to me, that is invaluable. That's that is the true value of a mastermind is community. And listener, if you're not as familiar, I know we both have mastermind programs, but essentially, because I talk about it now at conferences I go to, and I ask people to raise their hands if they've ever heard of a mastermind. And it's actually very few in our
interesting.
sector. And so it is the collection of usually a smaller group of people, like-minded people coming together to solve challenges with one another. Solve challenges, provide solutions, and share. And the mastermind concept is eons old.
Yeah.
Mostly,
Napoleon Hill, everyone.
yeah, mostly with men getting together back in the day talking business. And in our work, we always say relationships are pivotal. They are everything. And so it is no brainer, hands down. Being in a mastermind changed everything about my business. And I would not have created my own if I hadn't been in one myself.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
And write a book that's called The
And
Monthly
right,
Giving
I
Mastermind.
love that. Well, because I think there's something to be said for you are the average of the five people you hang out with the most. And if you're around people who
1000%.
are achieving at the level and doing the things that you try to do, then you're just naturally going to up level. And so I
Yep.
can't say enough about masterminds. And I know people are out here being like, but it's a lot of money. Yeah, it's not nothing. It's not an insignificant amount of money that you're investing, but think about the return on that investment. Like to your point,
Absolutely.
you created your mastermind, you wrote a book, in my mastermind, I'm like, streamlining my business. I actually wrote a book as well. In the
Yeah.
masterminds that both of us run, we're seeing tremendous results from people. So I just think that there's nothing better than a mastermind.
Agreed. Ditto.
Okay. Let's talk about your mastermind. Let's talk about monthly giving. So I
Yeah.
find it really interesting that you've carved out this niche of monthly giving, especially now that we think about things like subscription-based businesses, Netflix and
Yeah.
meal kits and whatever. So what first got your mind on monthly giving?
So I have been a monthly donor for a long time. And the main cause that I've always been really passionate about is anti-human trafficking efforts. And I remember when I first was like just starting my career and I was broke, and I was living in New York, like I would do the A21 walks and I would volunteer with my church and like anti-human trafficking efforts around the city. And we actually went into strip clubs and in pairs and handed out we got to like the back room moms. It was like the most empowering slash scary thing I've ever done. Because a friend of the church had been like trafficked in that situation. It
Mm,
was it was a really like I don't know. It changed my life. And then when I moved to LA and I found Dressember, who's now gone through a merger with International Justice Mission, IJM, they had launched the collective. And I remember thinking, like, what is a $25 one-time gift gonna do with everything I know? Like that just felt silly. However, what if I gave $25 a month and that was compounded by hundreds of other people giving that amount? And so to me, it was a no-brainer.
hmm.
And that was actually, I feel like even like still kind of like earlier on in all the subscriptions that we have now. But then in the same vein, when I was living in New York City, so this is like 2013, 14, and Birchbox exploded.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so all of these like makeup, beauty boxes, Stitch Fix, like all of these things started to pop up. And I just loved being a monthly donor. I loved receiving the communication, the surprise and delight moments that December did. And at the same time, this is when in 2021, I was going through my mastermind. And I was like, why is this not like every organization leading like this? Because I'm following the trends of what we're seeing in the subscription economy. And in 2020, 78% of adults globally have subscriptions. So why would we not want sustainable recurring revenue for our organizations,
Hmm.
predictable revenue? And so I just basically got really excited about it. Plus, I had this love of technology. And also at that same time in 2020, 2021, there was a surge in the nonprofit sector of new tech tools
Hmm.
and changes in tech tools to really focus on a recurring first mindset or upsells. So this was all like percolating at the same time. But the miss was, and when I was starting to talk to at that time, like one-on-one clients, and I would ask them, well, why don't you have a monthly giving program? They would say, well, we just don't have the time. We don't have the personnel. We don't have time to audit our tool or get a new one. Or then how do we write the copy for that or build a landing page? Like that's going to take so many people. So it's always on the end of our to-do list. And I was like, well, like what if I pulled all those people together that I know and that I trust that do really good work and people could have this similar mastermind experience that I'm experiencing, except through it, we're literally building your monthly giving program together in a small group format. So that was kind of this random series of things happening at the same time that merged its way from like personal and business um, to create this like love of monthly giving. And I think you mentioned at the beginning, I just had a monthly giving summit. And what blew my mind is this is my first year running it. I had no expectations. There was 2,100 people that registered from
Wow.
47 different countries. They stayed, the average person, it was 2 half days from 1 to 4. The average person stayed 4 hours and 30 minutes.
Wow.
Like
That's incredible.
blew my mind. And so there's a very strong appetite for this. And monthly giving is typically a session on a summit or a session at a conference. But I really think like it will be the game changer for our sector if we can really harness and focus on this recurring first mindset that I'm really big on.
I love that. But let's talk about the recurring first mindset because you know, I agree with you from a pure, income standpoint. Where I'm wondering is we already know that most nonprofits have retention problems and they're not actually stewarding their donors particularly well. So, how do we think about that when we are looking at monthly giving? Because with monthly giving, there always has to be, at least from my understanding of it, like some reason to keep people
Mm,
in. Like if I see this amount leaving my credit card every
right.
month, like I need to know that there's some value exchange there. And given that a lot of nonprofits I talk to feel very strapped for time and capacity, like how do you build in the surprise and delight factor such that it merits like seeing that monthly charge leaving my credit card?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on the simplest thing, it's sending out monthly emails, like
Hmm.
personalized emails specific to this segment and where are the funds going. There's there's lots of automation, and we were talking about automation before we recorded that you can do with lots of direct mail providers nowadays, where through Zaps or even direct integrations into your CRM, a direct mail handwritten piece can be automated and sent out, but it's actually like written with pen that has a message on it. There are so many tools to help you be able to scale, even if you're a small team, to keep that meaningful stewardship going. I actually, to literally this point, the Tim Tebow Foundation is an organization that blew up in their recurring giving. I'm talking about in 1 year went from 6,500 to over 20,000 plus recurring supporters. What they were having, though, was this retention problem. And that's because there was no true strategy of how we're going to retain these people. And what has happened because of the subscription economy and what we as consumers get from brands is this very personalized experience. And so, therefore,
Mm-hmm.
why would we not want that when
Mm-hmm.
we're giving to a nonprofit? And so, what we talked about, I did like a VIP intensive day with them down in Jacksonville, and we built out this 12-month and beyond plan that included SMS, email, Facebook ads, because most of their new donors were coming from Facebook ads.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what else am I missing? Oh, and snail mail, and then some like surprise and delight things. And so we had this kind of like omni-channel, but most of it was set up to be automated. So once it's set, it just continuously trickles. So it's just like the chunk of the work at the beginning to get it going. And the key to all of that was right when somebody makes a gift on the thank you page, if you can with your current system, is you're asking them how do they prefer to be communicated with? Because you want to be looking at what is the email open rate of these people. If the email
Mm-hmm.
open rate is low, they're just not seeing it, whether it's going to their promotions tab or spam or trash on accident. They're thinking, I'm not hearing from you, even though you might be sending something. So you want to make sure that you are reaching them where they should be. And I think one of the biggest misses in our space is not using this phone enough.
Yes, 100%. I mean, it's so funny because it's like people, I don't know, like when it comes to things like fundraising, it's like they forget the things that they know. I'm like, do you not send like audio messages to your friends? Like, do you
Yes.
not do like a quick video? Like, we have the technology. Don't be
Yeah.
afraid to use it.
Yes. Like ask for the phone number.
Yeah.
Ask. And then if people like this is during the summit, and this is kind of acquisition and stewardship. Marcus Collins was the opening keynote speaker. I adore him. He wrote the book For the Culture,
Mm,
and his whole premise is really talking about the network effect of culture and what it brings. And he talks about like people trust people. People trust their people, which is so true. And so, how do you find and market to the people who have the same ideologies and values and beliefs that you do? Actually, I have a sustainer Slack group of like 100 plus nonprofits focusing on building monthly giving programs. And somebody just today asked, um, what's like the donor persona for that I should be looking for? And at first, I was thinking about like demographics. And I was like, no, 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 no. Find the
psychographics.
people with the values and the beliefs and the identity, the subculture. Do not, I think a big miss, and this is, we are recording this, happy Thanksgiving, right
Happy
before Giving
Thanksgiving, everyone.
Tuesday
Oh, yes. The
is
Super Bowl
like
of giving.
the Super Bowl of giving. Go niche, go super niche. Don't mass market because then you're like throwing spaghetti at the wind and you're hoping that a sliver of those people are actually your people. But like what trade publications, what podcasts, what are people listening to? What publications are they reading? What influencers are they following? Like what brands are they buying from? Like super niche down into finding people with the same values and beliefs and spend your money and your time there. And then those people, what I love what he says is they will evangelize for you
Hmm.
and essentially like be your believers and
Yeah.
talk about your organization for you.
Yeah. It's so funny. I recommend the same strategy for major gift giving, and it's a different set of mechanisms, but the concept is the same, which is don't waste your time trying to get everyone in the world. Spend your time in a very surgically precise way around the people for whom
Yep.
this is going to be their thing, and they're going to be able to give significant gifts.
Yep.
Because I think we're in too noisy an environment to try to compete with like the apples of the world. Like we're just not going to compete with them. So how do we go deep, not broad?
Yeah, for sure. They're an example though of a great brand. Like,
Oh, they're a fantastic brand, but they also have like a bajillion dollars. I think your average
yes, but
nonprofit
they
does
have
not have.
also focused on sharing their values and beliefs.
Mm,
Apple
true.
stands for we're going to go against the status quo. We're going to do things different than everybody else. And I am an Apple person. Like you'll probably never see me with a Samsung.
Yeah.
Like I have an iMac. I have all their products.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The switch cost is too high for me right now. It's like I can't. But but to your point, it's like but when you look at the market, I mean, maybe now with the iPhone, it's different, but like they don't have huge market share globally. But what they do have is a percentage, a very passionate percentage of people who are Apple people,
Yep. Totally.
who will always be
Exactly.
Apple people.
Right.
Okay. What else? What are some common misconceptions about monthly giving programs?
Oh goodness. Okay. Well, one big one, actually, talking to like the major donor Wiz over here, is that if somebody's a monthly donor, will they still donate to us in a one-time capacity for a major gift? And so there's a fear, there's a risk of if I ask them to be like a $50 a month monthly donor, I'm going to miss out on their $50,000 contribution. That is 1000% false.
Hmm.
Um, I am proof of that. I have given multiple times to the organizations, even though I'm already a monthly donor, because I love what they're doing. If you make a
Hmm.
strong enough, like compelling ask, yeah, I'm in.
Hmm.
Um, and it's actually a wonderful pool for you to find people who then have the capacity to become a major donor. Would even love like your perspective on that. That's one big fear that people have.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, I think the fear is rooted in scarcity and making decisions for people, right? Like, oh, if I do this, they're going to be offended. And the truth is, like, somebody who's giving to you at $50 a month is probably much more likely to give you a bigger gift than someone you've never met before, have had no engagement with, who
Totally.
you're going to ask for a $50,000 gift from. Like, I just, like, there have to be some indications that I'm on some level engaged. And like being
Yeah.
a monthly donor is a good first step.
On your side, I also think I would love to be at the place where if somebody came to me and said, would you be willing to make a $50,000 contribution, that I could actually do that and that they felt like I could do that.
Yeah.
I would feel honored and I would be like, wow, that is so kind that you think of me. And then I would just tell them what I could do. Like, I don't know. I don't think there should be any fear in that. It's kind of like ask and they're going to do what they feel compelled to do. I don't know. I'm not in the
I
major gifts world, but I would feel like so honored if somebody asked me that.
I honestly, I would be a little bit like, are you crazy? I mean, I'd be like, okay, that's crazy. The way that I would think about it is a little bit differently, which is how is that monthly gift a first step in a conversation for us to
For sure.
then create a proposal that makes sense, that is aligned with the thing that I want, which is aligned with my budget, which is aligned with my timing. So if like someone randomly was like, could you give a $50,000 gift? I'd be like, okay, clearly you don't know me because if you did, you would know that that is a ridiculous
Oh, yeah,
sum.
yeah, yeah. I'm not saying going from a $50 a month to a $50,000
Yeah.
ask. No, no,
Yeah,
no, no,
yeah.
no. I
Yeah.
just meant like if you're at the point where
Oh,
they're
yeah,
like
yeah.
giving at a
Okay.
substantial level and it
Right.
makes sense to like go
Yeah.
to that next step. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm just saying I'd love to be at that point
Yes,
of
I would love to be at
receiving
that point. In fact, no, let's say it differently. We will one day be at that point.
that. Mm-hmm.
We're going to manifest it.
Manifest
Um,
it. There you go.
so I mean, and this is like a big thing that I'm kind of trying to build some traction around is I think the way that we've historically been taught to do major gifts is really stupid. In that it's like, okay, I identify people and then I qualify them, which like may or may not be accurate. I qualify them through like well screens or whatever I do.
Yeah.
Then I start to cultivate them. I start doing like, you should be like, do you want to go for coffees and whatever? However, knowest to you, but unbeknownst to them, like they don't know that they are in a cultivation process, right? They're just like, I don't know, maybe Dana just likes hanging out with me. Or like, cool, I love coming to all these events. But like, because there's not been an explicit conversation about like, hey, do you want to be on this
Yeah.
journey? Like, do you want to be cultivated? Then I'm confused, you're confused, and then you're just like hoping that this will lead to a solicitation. And then I build it up to like this, this big like moment where I do the big ask and it's awkward for me because I feel nervous and it's awkward for you as a donor because you're like, what the hell is happening? Like, oh my God, I had no idea this was happening. So my whole thing now is like, let's pre-qualify people, then
Yeah.
qualify people, and in the qualification, literally give up the whole game. Hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go on this journey together. At the end of it, we're going to co-create a proposal that is going to be aligned with,
Mm, love.
this, and this, and then I'm going to put
Yeah.
it in front of you, and then we'll discuss it. Does that work for you? Cool, let's do it. And that way, there's
So
no
good.
surprise, there's
Yeah.
no gotcha moment, there's no. It's like it's all
I
it's
love
all in
that.
the plan.
Same thing with monthly giving. We've been taught ask for the one-time donation, then 30 to 60 days, you want to convert them to be a monthly donor. Scratch that. If we know, and data has proven year over year, over year, over year, over year, that one-time retention rates are 20, 30, 40%
In the toilet. Yep.
in the toilet, why would you not ask for a recurring first gift? And this goes
Yep.
back to why would you not find your core believers?
Hmm.
Like all of the organizations that I give monthly to right now, I have never given a one-time donation. I started as a recurring donor because I believe in the long-term solution of
Mm.
what they're doing. I know
Mm.
it's going to take longer than a month or a year to do the solution. And it's something that's affordable. It's like basically on demand for me. And I believe in them. So
Yep.
why not go for those people
Yep.
than trying to spend how much time and energy do we spend on trying to convert people who have never given, who have given a one-time $25 gift that maybe did it because their friend asked them to or
Yep.
whatever.
Yep. Yep.
This giving to like recurring first.
Yep.
Make it the lead ask. I'm not saying you don't should not have a one-time option somewhere on your site, but make recurring first ask. Explain the impact of what a monthly gift can do. And I bet you if you tell the stories in a compelling way, people are going to be willing to make that contribution.
You know what, Dana? I think we should team up because to me, the recurring gift is actually an indication of engagement.
Totally.
It's much more engaged for me to give a recurring versus a one time. And if you are showing engagement, then you might also be showing that you are more likely to be open to the conversation to move you into a major gift donor.
Yeah. Or not even that, but open the door to other conversations and partnerships
Yeah.
or relationships that you know.
Yep.
I
Yep.
have this, so I give locally to the Hope booth, and Gloria Umana, she actually just texted me right now. This is why this popped up, where she was like, "Hey, we have a potential for a really big match gift this year, and I know you work in monthly giving. I'd love to brainstorm if you have time to get your ideas about how we could use this match gift." So she's asking me for my time and what I do in my experience. And I'm like, yeah, I'm totally down to help you when works to meet. So it doesn't have to necessarily sometimes be a major gift, but we've also sat down for lunch and I'll say, who are the brands that you're trying to do partnerships with? Let me see if I know anybody. Like
Hmm.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Wait, last question before we get to the book, because we only have a few minutes, but when when it does monthly giving go awry? Because what you're saying makes a lot of sense. And I'm sure that there are people who do it badly. I'm just going to call out Act Blue for a minute, for basically spamming me
Oh
all
God.
the time.
Ugh, awful.
I know.
If so on trying to acquire you.
No, just either trying to acquire or trying to get me to continue giving on a monthly basis. Because I think like and maybe it's not monthly per se, but there just seems to be a tension between being persistent and being a stalker.
Yeah. Yes, there's definitely a balance in seasons of when it makes sense to increase heightened communication. Um, I always laugh at like tools like HubSpot where you can literally tell like when somebody's on your website or somebody's opened something and then they immediately contact you. And it's like, okay, no, you're stalking me. I
Yeah.
think there's should be like a humanized element to it where like
Hmm.
what logically makes sense and I try and think about it in a natural conversation. What would you do in a natural conversation? Right after you leave lunch with somebody, are you then going to message them on Facebook and text them and give them a phone call? And no, you would not do that. So don't make your marketing do that.
Right. 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 Right.
Like make it a natural like relationship progression and leave some space in between. You want to remain top of mind, but you can do that in not such a always ask forward way. I think that if you maybe were receiving content from them that was impact based without an ask, then you just might naturally be like, I love this story. I want to give now. We don't
Hmm.
always need to be pushing the ask down everybody's throat.
Yeah. I tell this to my students a lot, which is the 80/20 rule, which is like 80% of the content that you're sending out should not be an ask. And I think the mistake that a lot of
Yeah.
people make is that every time contact their donors or their prospects, it's ask, ask, ask. And it's like, well, of course I'm going to unsubscribe because that's like watching TV and getting nothing but commercials. Like, what's the value add for me?
Yeah, totally. That's a great
Okay,
analogy.
last question for you, friend. You wrote a book. Yay!
Yay!
I want you to talk about the process of writing a book and what you think. Well, actually, I'd love you to talk about how you think the book positions you in the space, because I actually think many of our nonprofit listeners should think about writing a book.
I agree. I 100% agree. This process was really fascinating. The book itself, if you are somebody who wants to like DIY a monthly giving program, it's perfect for that. It shares the framework that I teach in my mastermind, plus it has 15 case studies of nonprofits of all different sizes, all different causes, and what they've done to build, grow, and sustain their recurring giving programs. So check it out. But yes, I went hybrid publishing. So
Hmm.
listeners, I think books are wonderful because there is no better business card than handing somebody your book. You can sit down in your cozy spot, grab your favorite beverage, and you are immersed. And the length of a book, you're never going to get with a podcast conversation or somebody or listening to a webinar. It's actually a really great story. My book publisher, Allison Trollbridge from Copper Books, started her career in the nonprofit space because she read a book called Not for Sale in
Mm.
the anti-human trafficking space. She read the book, was so inspired, wanted to work for the company, got a job for the company, and that book propelled that founder to then speak at all of these conferences around the globe and created the organization. So
Hmm.
like it is a massive thought leadership utensil for
Hmm.
you to utilize for your organization. There's a publishing route, which is what we very commonly known as Simon & Schuster and Wiley and all these other brands,
Hmm.
where the IP is usually owned by the publisher. They take a very high percentage of the book sales, which I'm not doing it for book sales. It is more for speaking and getting the
Hmm.
word out about what I do at a like a $20 option
Hmm.
for people to grow monthly giving. And then there's hybrid, which is what I did. So I fully own IP. However, with publishing, the publisher takes care of everything for you. So you're not paying them. They're getting all the money on the back end from sales of the book. But I wanted more control.
Hmm.
And so hybrid publishing, you are paying the publisher basically for their services. They still provide everything, like the copywriting editor, the development editor, the cover design, the interior design, all of that is done by them. The uploading to Amazon and Barnes and Noble, distribution, all the things, shipping is still done by them, but you own your IP. So let's just say I wanted to share my ebook with you for free. Technically, if you have a publisher, that's illegal because that should be a sale, but I can do that if I want to,
Hmm.
or print it anywhere I want. And then there's self publishing. And the reason I didn't go the self publishing route, which you can totally do, is I just felt overwhelmed with I don't know what I don't know. I've never published a book before. I was going to need to hire a copywriting editor. I was going to need to hire a cover designer, anyways. Then I would have to project manage those people. I would have to upload to Amazon and figure that out. And that to me was already like more time and money than what hybrid was going to be. So the book process, I did it very fast. So I wrote the book in 4 weeks and published it in 4 months. And at first, my publisher thought I was crazy. And she actually said no at first to doing it. She's like, our normal turnaround time is 9 months to a year. And then she like called me back and she's like, let me ask you this. Do you think you could get me a first draft by X date? And I was like, I'll do it. She's like, okay, if you get me that draft, we'll publish your book.
Amazing. You are a beast. Are you sure you sleep?
So it was really, really fast. I just like hunkered down and pushed it out. And I was actually really surprised. I think when you're writing a book, they want what sounds a lot down or daunting to a lot of people is that it needs to be 50 to 60,000 words for it to be like a solid book that people are going to want to purchase. And I remember just thinking, that sounds outrageous. I was like, sounds like a massive college paper. And then when you get going, and especially you, listener, like you probably have so many stories.
That's right.
that are just going to flow in experiences of your work and what you've done that you won't even realize it. And all of a sudden, you've written a 300-page book. Like,
Yeah.
once you get into the creative flow, it is shocking how fast it comes.
Yeah. Well, and now we have all these tools like ChatGPT that can help out. Not that will write for you, but
No,
can help you think about like brainstorm and like
totally.
assist and like do some research. So, I mean, now we're kind of in the golden age of like, why wouldn't you write a book?
Yeah, it
Um,
was my research assistant.
yeah.
Or I'd ask it, and I was like, okay, then what's the link for this? Actually, one big thing I used it for is I mentioned there's 15 case studies.
Yep.
But over a year, I interviewed all these nonprofits. I uploaded all of the transcripts, and then I asked for pull quotes on certain things.
So
That would
good.
have taken me hours.
Yep. Totally. 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 Yeah. I mean, look, I'm with you. I think having written a book is like one of the best in, introductions, business cards, as you
Totally.
say. But also, when I was writing my book, I really wanted to be a workbook, right? I wanted people to be able to use it
Same.
to actually do something. Because it's one
Yep.
thing I think a lot of us get into like, I'm just going to read more books, or I'm going to listen to an extra podcast, or I'm going to like take that
Yeah,
extra course. And you just get into like procrastinate learning.
totally. Similar to yours, there's probably like at the end of each chapter, I have these like aha moments I kind of summarize, and there's like full pages where you write notes, or even have areas where it's like fill in the blank,
Yep.
where it's like taught you something. Now, what's your why? Or like circle yes or no. I have in certain sections of like what's relevant to you. So it's meant to be scribbled and like written all over.
Yep. Totally. All right, friend. Wrapping up, we are looking at Thanksgiving. We're looking at Giving Tuesday. Your advice is go niche.
So
Don't go
niche.
broad. So would you recommend not doing a full mass email? Would you only recommend sending out appeals to your niche? Like what's your strategy on Giving Tuesday?
One, I would go through and clean your list. If
Oh,
you haven't already done,
hmm.
you haven't already done so, scrub that thing. Because like I just did this and I found like 1,900 people who hadn't opened things. And I was like, why am I sending you things? You do a re-engagement campaign and you might not have time in this time frame that we're in right now, but at a certain point, clean your list. There are lots of tools that can do this for free, or not for free, sorry, for a low cost. There might be free ones. Um, but then once you do have it cleaned, I would send segmented messages so that you're not just like broad swipe sending the same thing to everybody on your list. If you do not have your list segmented, that is another step that
Mm,
I would strongly recommend you do.
yes, correct. And actually, there's a really easy way that you can segment your list, which is you do an email and you have a reply back or you ask a question.
Yes, or in depending on the tool, like I use Flowdesk, and so in mine now with the links, if somebody clicks on a link, you can technically add that as a new segment or add
Hmm.
them to a segment.
Yep.
Not
So
always perfect because of how bots and stuff work, but at least it gets you something better than nothing.
yep, absolutely. Dana, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing all your thoughts on all the
You.
things. It's always so fun. I will make sure
Yes.
that your information is in the show notes. The your book, which folks should definitely get. I have to get it for myself, as well as links to your website if folks want to do your monthly mastermind.
Yes. Thank you. Yep. Positiveequation.com/book.
All right, sounds good.
I know.
Thanks, Dana.
Thank
Happy
you.
Thanksgiving, everyone.